Alright, so no Pandora's box this time. I'm just gonna see if I can kill him. But anyway, kind of the point I was getting at with that big-ass rant there was talking about, you know, you have to balance this shit out. I get that money needs to be made. But if a company is not going to balance this shit out on their own terms, I'm going to balance it out on mine. And that game's not going to get fucking played anymore. You're going to be tossed in the trash until you start doing better. And if it never gets better, well, I'm not going to fucking support that game anymore. Especially if that game has gone from the, you know, innovation to the extortion model, where you change the game until it's no longer recognizable with all these fucking updates that end up causing more destruction and, you know, grievous harm to a product that I paid money for than not. I mean, updates used to sound like such a cool idea to add to a game until companies started abusing them. Now I just want companies to stop fucking updating their shitty games and making them worse with each and every update. You can have a good update, but like, you know, hey, you fixed the bugs, but now we're also adding in 5,000 different forms of STDs. I mean, microtransactions. Does that sound fun to you? I don't think it does. I don't think that should sound fun, because you don't want to fucking buy a game and be told, no, fuck you. You gotta buy more. You better buy more, bitch. Because if you don't, fuck off. You're not a true fan. No, I'm not a true fan, you know. If that's what being a true fan is, then, yeah, count me out of whatever little, you know, lovely scheme you got here. A true sucker who's falling for your Ponzi scheme. It's not gonna happen. You know, it's like investing in a game. It's basically, games are like investing in a fucking timeshare at this point, or buying a star. It's a nice idea to have one that's good, but that's all it is. It's fucking gambling. Fucking annoying is what it is. So, this here is Notch, and he's got Pixel Gun World there. If you ever wonder what happened to Pixel Gun World, that'd be it. He put it in the computer. Notch Alex Krasnov here. And then he put fucking bug in, and his computer got 5,000 forms of space STDs. And we went into his computer, and yeah, that's. You think I was kidding? Shit, apparently not. The game wasn't. So it's a little buggy. By a little, I mean a lot. Alright, good luck. Wonderful game of life we play. Try these. There we go. Really, I tend to judge companies based upon the actual individual merits of what they have made. You know, as opposed to just as a whole. If you judge it all as a whole, then you miss all the little intricacies in between, which is usually where all the fun shit is. If I looked at Call of Duty as nothing more than a basic experience, I'd completely miss out on all the little fun shit I could do, where I could play the fun little survival mode, you know, strap 10,000 C4 to some Russian bitch, blow him up, here to Kingdom Come, or whoever the fuck else, you know. It was dumb. It was not really requiring much explanation other than, hey, survive as long as you can, and kill everybody who tries to kill you until we can save you. And rescue never came, so the instructions were unfortunately quite inaccurate, but I do like that they at least tried to immerse you somewhat, even though it's kind of bullshit that you can't just call in a helicopter to escape, like have some kind of proper end goal, and then they give you agency to choose when you actually want to leave. Like, that's one thing I really liked about Metal Gear Solid 5 by comparison, where they had all the tools you expect in Call of Duty, and they actually let you fucking do whatever the hell you wanted with them. You're not just limited to only this or only that or only one tool in a specific area. That was the most frustrating thing of most of those games, was you couldn't actually use the shit whenever you wanted. And Battlefield wasn't a good substitute either, because it wasn't as arcadey or as fast. It's not even the same game, hardly. Sure, you might run and shoot and aim down the sight, but you got classes, you got vehicles, you got all of this other shit on top of it. So it's no longer just this simple arena game with, slight tactical immersion elements. It's just a slightly faster tactical game with heavy combat and weapons made to, immerse you in whatever world they're making. I also like that this bug and the bugged world we're fighting on in this janky ass port of the game, it looks like this whole thing is just fucking ice cream or slushy. I didn't think I'd be playing Pixel Gun in the ice cream dimension today, but I mean, fuck it, the more you know. I win. To be continued. You know what? As far as I'm concerned, that's the fucking ending of the game. Chapter 4 is dog shit. The second one is the ending, if you ask me. Oh, there's a bigger problem. Yeah. Facebook. And Twitter. Oh, no. To be continued? No. That's the unfortunate truth. The game ended because of Twitter. Thanks for nothing, fuckfaces. But, anyway, that's the campaign. It was pretty cool. We've got all kinds of cool shit to explore here in this lovely little version of the game, and I'm going to do so. So, one thing that I kind of liked about this mode, and also disliked, is that there's arena maps, more than one. I like they added more, but once again, problem. You can't choose whichever arena map you want. It just randomly gives you one. And I'm just thinking, well, why the fuck? Why? It was little things like that. Once again, the devil is in the details. And they would always seemingly find a way to screw up one thing with another. Rat poison and candy bars. Putting a fucking, a nail that's sticking out of a table near your mouse pad or something. It's like, why go out of your way to do that shit? It's such a dumb idea. You should have known better, and clearly you did know better. It just screams of being unfinished. Unfinished or mildly infuriating, at least. There we go. There's the first wave, and this was still, I guess, when you could sort of consistently grind this for coins. I like the animations for that too. So you can make boxes. This is what Microsoft fucks up with their Windows 10 and 8 and even 11 stuff. You can make boxes look good. And clearly they knew how with the Xbox 360 and early Windows 8. they just decided not to stick through to it. Like, they did with the Windows Phone, but it's the Windows Phone, so all they cared about was murdering an idea, and they got what they wanted. You know, it's like, yeah, you know, we could have done better with our phones. We're not going to do anything about it, though. Yeah, you know, we can't be fucked. You know, we're a multi-trillion-dollar company. We're one of the biggest corporations in the world. We could have easily had an ecosystem to rival that of Apple or Android. And we just didn't give a shit. The whole thing that I really liked about the old boxes in a lot of games was it wasn't just the simplicity. It was that it was a lot better for big screens, too. Like, I grew up with a shitload of big TVs, and a list wasn't always the best user interface for that kind of thing, especially Windows 7. If you're like me, and you play Lego Universe on a TV, which looks super cool, you want there to be big boxes so you can see shit. Or if you're playing like a console game like I was, and you know, a lot of games in the early 2010s had what's called the Frutiger Metro art style. Good luck. Thank you, boxes. Anyway, they had the Frutiger Metro art style. And that was a style where it's basically like pretty much a hybrid between Frutiger Aero and Metro. Straight down the middle. It's pretty awesome. A lot of art that was made for Windows 8 did have that stuff. A lot of wallpapers around 2011, maybe 2010 to 2013, maybe 2014, I want to say, had this style. It was a brief period of about 4-ish years. Maybe 5, if you count Little Big Planet. Little Big Planet, The Blob, Disney Universe, even some of Portal, if you want to count that, I guess, technically had Frutiger Metro elements. And I liked the simplicity of that stuff, but they didn't just have a gray, flat, lifeless box with nothing in it. They had, like, art and little, you know, circles and shit, little, like, lines and other stuff. It looked like, kind of more like a subway or a train station. Or just, you know, old subway stuff from, like, 2009. Looked pretty neat. Or a lot of, like, old fast food restaurants. When they used to have, like, goofy designs, and every single one of them had a sunroom without fail. Even Pizza Hut, which didn't need a sunroom, it just had one. Oh, shit. Well, I think I need a sunroom, jeez Louise. Anyway. But, yeah, it was things like that that I think were pretty novel. It was a cool new style, and it didn't really look like much had changed, because, to be real with you, it didn't. Not much, at least. It was still colorful, it was still bouncy, it was still happy. Then Minecraft comes along, and people take all of the wrong ideas from it entirely. I feel like a lot of the problems with modern user interfaces are taken from Windows 8 and Minecraft, where people just focused more on the boxes as opposed to how they looked. They just got the idea that it's a box, it has a word, maybe a simple icon on it, and that icon doesn't say much of shit, or tell you much of jack shit. Without a label, would you be able to guess what most of the Microsoft icons are? Probably not. And, like I said, I think that their best rendition of that design was their first one, Windows 8. Or the Xbox 360, because the stuff was constantly flipping, it was animated, there was still a glass, kind of gradient look to things. The insides of the boxes were not just flat with a monotone white icon that's bright and really hurts the eyes, especially for prolonged use. No, it was lively. There was, like, in the Xbox 360, there's an interface called the new user, or new Xbox experience. And It just had all of these gaming controllers, these bubbles, and there was like this cool wave effect that's like liquid metal made into a tidal wave for your Kinect when it, picked up your microphone or whatever. I really liked that, and even Kinect Star Wars was fun. It kind of fucked around with the big boxes and shit too. I mean, it was silly, it barely worked at times, but I could tell that they put some effort into it. And maybe if I had like a proper controller and they tried to make it into more of a legit game as opposed to just a tech demo, I'm sure more people would have been onto it, but more people eventually went on to the super flat style because they were just sick and tired of all this, bright arrow stuff, which is ironic because Metro tends to be even brighter, which makes it harder to focus, especially when there's basically jack shit all on the screen, and, even what little is there is just concealed behind 500 submenus that barely look like menus at all. Like if you go into Windows Defender, it doesn't really look like a menu as much as it does on the right side compared to the left. On the left, okay, that looks like a menu. When you go on the right, it looks more like you're clicking in a website. A really badly organized website, and I imagine the reason behind that is because they're trying to condition you into believing that it's okay to have shitty systems that are this clunky and slow, when instead all it's really doing is just being clunky, slow, and messing up your workflow. It makes so much sense as to why it's bad, and that it even rhymes. It's shitty, slow, messes up your workflow. And the reason why people don't like it is because it's big, tacky, and hard on the eyes. And they're actually going back to Arrow because there's at least something for your eyes to gravitate to. When I think if you go with something like fucking Minecraft, or, a dirty wallpaper, or like metal or something, like Frutiger Metro, where there's, tears and shit, your eyes are going to be naturally more gravitated to the details, and it's overall going to have a more pleasant look to it, because even if you look at a wall, well, a painted wall isn't going to be fucking flat with nothing there. Even your monitor is going to have fucking bits of dust on it. So, without something to ground your eyes to the actual visuals of the proper operating system itself, you feel like you're lost in the middle of the ocean, and clearly Microsoft must have fucking known about that, because most of their wallpapers involve people running away or on planes next to the fucking ocean. There's this consistent theme of, like, people not wanting to be there. Like, yeah, you fucking know what you're doing, and you know that you're not gonna get stopped. So, no shit. You're gonna play with your food before you fucking kill it. Until now, a lot of people just simply out of spite are up and abandoning Windows, when the truth is, you don't need to change your operating system. You could easily still use Windows 10. You just have to downgrade to an older version. Because every version of Windows, Windows 10 especially, really fucked up performance for games. A lot. That's the reason why performance is usually bad on Windows. The updates. And Microsoft trying to conceal and hide a lot of that bullshit and force you into thinking you have no choice is manipulative and shitty. That's the real problem. People will say, oh, you should update for your security. Yeah, well, it's like paying protection money to the mafia. Do you really trust them, or do you think you'd want to trust the cops more? They're the mafia. They're gonna fuck you over. It's that simple. Your time is limited with gangsters, and naturally, there's no honor among any of that shit. So, they don't give a fuck, but it's been normalized because enough people just went with the flow, even though the flow went right off a fucking bridge, and, we've seen how well that worked for a lot of people who think they have computers they can't even use because Windows doesn't work. Well, Windows does work. You just have to find out, do a modicum of research. figure out which version of Windows works best. But you'd say, oh, I don't want to use Windows. Well, you don't have to, but, not everything's going to work on Linux. I mean, I have some machines, like I have an old laptop from AMD that's terrible on Windows. It doesn't even use its proper RX 460 GPU. Linux was not there at all for like the past fucking decade. And I guess we'll fucking explore this shit. I don't know. What a peaceful island. Windows was just not there. Well, Windows was. It was Linux. Linux was just not there for so many fucking years. Oh yeah, this is the weird dating mode they had. But anyway, Linux just was not there for so many years. Like the better part of about 15, maybe 20 years. You might have been able to use it on the PlayStation 3 or something, but nah. You were basically shit out of luck. There wasn't many things you could use it for, and even those you could were often particularly esoteric or otherwise very, very niche or specific, to a point where they wouldn't really be viable. Like they were just kind of, yeah, that's a fun science project, but it's not something I want to use every day. And once they got to something that you like, oh yeah, I might want to actually use that every day, they still fuck up little things. Once again, the devil's in the details. Infuriating software design where they'll get one big thing right but mess up about 5,000 small things, and it's just, I can't win with shit like that. Alright, well there's the map, I guess. Usually you'd have some guy called Cool Boy 420 come in here consistently and say, oh my god, I need girlfriend. Even though I can guarantee you there were no fucking girls here at all. He was probably 12, and every girl he talked to was like a 50-year-old dude. So, get that shit out of here. Here's the winter party map. But yeah, Linux until about COVID just wasn't there. And once COVID kind of came and went, Linux has kind of gotten a cult following of people who are just constantly pissed off at Windows, and often just make vague generalizations to people as if that, helps them. Oh, you should upgrade your computer to Linux. No, not if it works well, especially on Windows. You should just judge that based upon whatever your computer is capable of, because treating Linux like it's a one-size-fits-all solution is just not going to work. And even still, more people than not want to use the Windows layout or the Mac OS layout, so they don't even want to use something that's made particularly for Linux, because to give you the truth, even though a lot of people who use that shit don't want to fucking hear it, it sucks. It's just about as bad as Windows in terms of its UI. And all of the design mistakes that they carried over verbatim from Windows. Like if you want to do something small on Linux, like mods for a game, you can play the game itself, sure. But if you want to actually fucking mod the game, yeah, well, get the fuck out. And even still, most times you might not even be able to play the game you want. You can't use NTFS, partitions for games on Steam or other properly, big games and programs for games, because you have to use Windows. So it's like, okay, well, that sucks, but there's nothing as an average person I could be expected to do. It's like, oh, well, you could program it yourself. No, an average person is not going to know how to fucking code shit. They just want the operating system and they want it to work. The same way with anything else they use. In order to use a fucking toaster, you don't have to know how a toaster works other than you press this shit down and it toasts your toast. A computer should be about the same way, if not a lot simpler, given that we've had about I don't know, a few hundred years to figure out how this shit even works, you know, going from mechanical to digital especially. Also that fucking thing over there. Got one of these with a scope. No, I don't, but this one's got physics. But you'd think that after so many years of fucking around with computers, people would be able to put two and two together, realize, yeah, everybody who uses Linux maybe isn't a coder or programmer, and maybe we should not be so patronizing to people who just want to use the thing that we're trying to so desperately to get them on board to use. No, because we usually have an ulterior motive, or at least the popular ones do. We don't think of what people actually say they need on their computer. We think of what we want them to have on there. And that's it. So a lot of little shit gets fucked up, whether that be Adobe software, usually being the main excuse. My biggest problem is when something small in Linux fucks up something major, because you're expected to, you know, have all this freedom, and all this freedom's supposed to be better, but it's not really better if it fucks up everything else as a result of accidentally typing in one thing, which granted you could do on Windows as well, but the amount of steps that Windows has in order to stop you from doing that gives you time to second guess yourself and think if it's a good idea or not to type in the name of a file to fuck this thing up. Now, what I don't like about the errors especially is that they often give you incredibly cryptic or esoteric, you know, sounding shit that's most times than not just unhelpful. Oh yeah, that still works. Sweet. Oh, and I fucked it up. Lovely. But yeah, that's a fun one. You can break out of the map. Or I could have if I didn't die, because I'm a dumbass. I have to go around it, but anyway. My point with the whole blocks and Windows talk there is, you know, a lot of people took the wrong ideas from Minecraft and Windows, and they've applied it in such haphazard, destructive ways that it's kind of had a pretty terrible domino effect on a lot of shit, because people just accept it as normal without even thinking about it. You know, they just do it because everyone else does it, right? And so it's a good idea if we hide and conceal 5,000 menus, because that's apparently intuitive. No, it's inconvenient, stupid, clunky, and slow. Oh, is this thing gonna work? There we go. Now I'm out. But yeah, you can break out of the map. That's pretty awesome. Let's see if I can go over here or something. Oh, so you can see the backs of trees. Whee! And yeah, Luna Park is the name of that. You can go out here in the highway. Apparently you can go out here too. So that's pretty cool. And there's a bunch of trucks and shit. I wonder if I can get over there. I'm gonna find out. Also, like the moon is a straight up cube, and they're still using low resolution moving island skyboxes, pictures of Minecraft. Alright. But anyway. Shit. Out of time. Speaking of out of time, this fucking video went on for a bit longer than I had anticipated, so I will do another part here in a bit.